This is the News Feed at noon.
The fate of death row inmate Robert Robertson has been put to the Texas Supreme Court. Their decision coming up.
And after a great deal of promotion, the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul left many fans unsatisfied. Find out why.
With Thanksgiving break finally here, we'll have that forecast for your holiday week.
Afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm John Patterson, and Lauren is not here today, so I'll be starting us off with weather. Temperatures are above average right now, especially in counties south of Austin. These climate patterns outside of our seasonal norms point to the possibility of La Nina conditions in late December or early January. Not yet, though. Currently, Dallas-Fort Worth is at 59 degrees, but as we get further into the afternoon, the real feel with the direct sun and humidity will get it closer to 70. This morning, however, our lows hit 40 degrees. Those drastic swings in temperatures and pressure can give some people headaches and painful sinus pressure, so prepare for that throughout the day. Later, we won't see much cloud cover. It'll be clear skies and a true high of 64. Again, with the lack of coverage, it'll feel much warmer. We'll steadily drop into the 50s later in the evening. Coming up, we'll have the forecast for your Thanksgiving plans as well as that cold front moving in from the north. Now that will begin a pattern shift that will introduce winter weather, followed as always by that 7-day forecast. A new policy was heard by the Texas State Board of Education on Monday that would be for a new statewide curriculum that encourages teaching the Bible in schools. However, there are many that are opposed to the policy. Michael Adkison has the latest.
The state may not turn public schools into Sunday schools.
It's a policy battle that's been more than a year in the making. On Monday, the Texas State Board of Education heard the case for and against adopting a new statewide curriculum, which critics say includes too much Christian influence.
They promote particular religious views over others, and in doing so, they violate parents' rights to determine the religious upbringing of their children.
Inside the state building, demonstrators sing hymns, openly embracing the curriculum's Christian influence as a positive factor.
It is the First Amendment right to have access to this information. Attacking these materials merely because of their academic study of the Bible is denying students the freedom to learn and create a learning environment that is hostile to Christianity and religion.
Studies of the proposed curriculum show it includes lessons from the life of Jesus, both in his life and his teachings, as well as other stories from the Bible. Schools across the state wouldn't be required to use the curriculum, but there is a financial incentive if they do so. The policy comes from legislation approved last year. Democrats largely opposed the policy, while Republicans largely supported it, though neither was unanimous. If approved, the curriculum could be rolled out by next school year.
This evening, our own TCC Northeast Dance Department kicks off their first on-campus performance, followed with a matinee tomorrow at 2 p.m. and finishing their last performance of the semester tomorrow evening at 7:30. Inner Spaces features Movers Unlimited and Northeast Dance Company with guest performances by Impulse and Metamorph Dance Company. General admission is only $5. TCC faculty, staff, and students are free. Just show your ID. A Houston man says wild hogs are wreaking havoc in his neighborhood, and he even had to fight off an attack outside his home earlier this month. Carl White lives in a subdivision near Sims Bayou. He says access to the bayou allows feral hogs to roam. White says he encountered the issue firsthand while working in his garage late one night. His dog alerted him to danger, and he realized a hog was coming at him full speed. White fired off his airsoft gun, scaring the animal off. He says he's thankful his dog alerted him in time to defend himself.
Don't get yourself in a position where you're confronting or cornering them, because that's when they really get nervous and come at you. But let them have an escape. If they want to run away, then but now I'm not going to get caught slipping.
White and his neighbors say the hogs have killed pets and destroyed property. They've contacted the authorities in hopes of having the issue addressed. And the Texas Supreme Court has ruled the execution of Robert Robertson can move forward. He was convicted of murdering his 2-year-old daughter more than 20 years ago. Robertson was supposed to be executed in October, but a state House committee delayed the execution by issuing a subpoena for his testimony. The state's high court denied that motion. A new execution date will now be set. Robertson's conviction relied on allegations that his daughter died of shaken baby syndrome. His attorneys argue that diagnosis has since been discredited. And a jury has ordered a former Dallas police officer to pay more than $98 million for the 2018 murder of Botham Jean. Amber Geiger has been serving 10 years in prison for fatally shooting Jean in his apartment after she said she mistook it for her own. Jean lived in the apartment below Geiger's. Jean's family filed the federal civil rights lawsuit in 2018. After the verdict was read, they said they feel justice was served. Geiger did not appear in the civil trial or have an attorney present. The Collegian is a student-led, award-winning newspaper serving the Tarrant County College district. It's one place that unites all 6 campuses, giving the student body a voice. Faculty and staff attended the College Media Association conference and was awarded the Pacemaker Award, the Pulitzer Prize of College Journalism. Fosia Abdullahi explains.
So this semester, the Collegian staff here at Tarrant County Community College was awarded multiple Pinnacle Awards, along with what student media likes to call its very own Pulitzer, the Pacemaker Award. And what that means is basically through the hard work of student journalism that our reporters from this semester as well as last semester were provided an opportunity to submit some work that they've done. And really, through that hard work, they've received this really big national student media award that really means a lot to us. One of our designers, Jerry Sweeney, won the first place in infographic. And we did that with our eclipse story that happened a few months back. And that really showed the amount of work that he put into creating that infographic and designing such a historical moment in Texas history. Our former editor-in-chief, Hope Smith, won Best Reporter of the Year for 2-year universities and colleges. And that was basically out of the whole nation. And that really shows her hard work and dedication, not just by leading this team, but also by showing how much of a great writer she is and how she can do great interviews. The other highlight was we were able to go, a small group of the media students here were able to go to New Orleans to experience Halloween in New Orleans and share that camaraderie with other student media. And we made these really great connections with other editors and other reporters, and we had people who were getting awards in social media. They were getting awards for their headlines, their design, their writers were being recognized. It was really a great place for us to all meet each other, build that connection, and also talk to teachers who have been doing this for a really long time. They're some of the best advisors at 2 years, and we have a couple of them here at TCC. We've got Chris Whitley and Lori Dan, and we also have our production manager, Stacy, who really takes the time to go through what some people would consider like the fine details that we don't see, especially us writers, but really works hard to make sure that our design is on point and production is on point. And the Collegian comes out in print as well as digital weekly, so you can catch a copy of the Collegian on Wednesdays. We put them out on Wednesday mornings, and online you can find it at our website, as well as an e-newsletter that comes out every Friday. Reach out to us that way with any stories that you want to highlight or any important people across the district that you want their stories to be shared as well.
Have you ever helped a fellow veteran?
Of course.
Yes. Have you ever asked for help yourself?
It's always tough, right? I always feel like I can solve my own problems, but eventually, you just can't deal with it on your own.
And you start to question, maybe people would be better off without me. When you realize that you're not alone, once you take that first step, there's so much support.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Achieving my goals as an adult was challenging without a high school diploma. With the help of an adult education center, I finished my high school diploma and it changed my life.
This yearbook is a testament to your accomplishments and how they have impacted all of us.
Getting my high school diploma made me feel like I can do anything. Now I can help the kids in my community achieve their dreams.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
The murder trial against Jose Ibarra and the death of Laken Riley is over, and the judge found Ibarra guilty. It's a case which has garnered national attention since Riley's death earlier this year. Let's get right to Ivan Rodriguez, who has the latest on the judge's decision.
On February 22nd, Laken Riley left her home at 9:03 for a morning jog. She brought her phone, smartwatch, and AirPods. 25 minutes later, she was killed. Special Prosecutor Sheila Ross says Jose Ibarra went hunting for females on the University of Georgia's campus before encountering his victim.
Laken fought. She fought for her life. She fought for her dignity. She caused this defendant to leave forensic evidence behind.
Prosecutors say some of the evidence includes video surveillance the morning Riley was killed, cell phone locations, gloves found discarded in a bush near Ibarra's apartment, which one witness said matched those found in Ibarra's home, and scratches on his arms.
Not only does the physical evidence identify him, the video evidence identifies him.
Meanwhile, the defense questioned whether the evidence actually pointed to Jose's brother Diego, who told investigators he was home asleep at the time of Riley's killing.
But there's another suspect in this case who was taller, who was more physically fit, who was wearing sneakers on the day of the murder, and that is Diego Ibarra.
So what we have heard is truly a mix between mischaracterization of the evidence and the magic pixie dust defense.
In Athens, Georgia, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Thank you, Ivan. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Netherlands-based court says it found reasonable grounds to believe Netanyahu allegedly used starvation as a method of warfare. The court also says Netanyahu bears responsibility for crimes against humanity of murder, persecution, and other inhumane acts. The ICC rejected Israel's challenge over its jurisdiction over the matter. Netanyahu's office calls the arrest warrant absurd and anti-Semitic. The mother convicted of murdering her 2 young children in 1994 had a parole hearing Wednesday. The South Carolina Parole Board unanimously denied Susan Smith's request. Smith's story is one that moved the nation 30 years ago, with a manhunt was underway for Smith's children, who she claimed had been abducted. Ultimately, the country learned that Smith had drowned her own children. Cheryl Hubbard has the details on Susan Smith's plea to get out of prison and the reaction from others close to the case.
A sobbing Susan Smith was given the opportunity to speak in front of the South Carolina Board of Paroles and Pardons.
I know that what I did was horrible. I would give anything if I could go back and change it.
Smith is serving a life sentence for confessing to the 1994 drowning of her sons, 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alex. She killed them by strapping them in her car and letting it roll into a lake. Prosecutors say originally Smith lied and claimed she was carjacked by a black man who'd stolen her car with the boys inside. The result, a widespread search and outpouring of sympathy.
Please bring them home to us where they belong.
At Wednesday's hearing, Smith tried to explain.
I didn't lie to get away with it. I really did. I was just scared.
Her tearful plea unanimously denied.
They believe that Susan should have to reflect on what she did to Michael and Alex.
The hearing included statements from witnesses opposing parole, including the boy's father and Smith's ex-husband, who said the board made the right decision.
God gives us free choice. And she made free choice that night to end her life. This wasn't a tragic mistake. It wasn't something that she didn't mean to do.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Thank you, Sherelle. Coming up, we will have the next week's forecast right after this.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because it felt like a failure. And then I realized, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Jason, let's go see your room.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right seat.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Getting into the weather, most of Texas has seen at least one freeze this time of year. If not by the 1st of November, then by November 15th. That's when, on average, the DFW Metroplex experiences temperatures below 32 degrees. However, it looks like we won't see that for a while, including today. Right now, Dallas is at 60 degrees. Down south, a little bit warmer at 63. Out west is the warmest, with Abilene hitting 64 degrees. Earlier, we had mentioned the stark changes in temperature from morning lows to afternoon highs. We'll witness that tomorrow morning, with most of Texas sitting in the low 40s at 8 a.m. And we've said this numerous times, but that transition from summer to fall to winter is confusing in Texas because we'll have temperate conditions in the afternoon, but wake up to low 40s, even 30s like we saw last week. However, a cold front coming in from the northwest should introduce colder, drier air for Thanksgiving week. It will push the coldest conditions into the northern states, but southern regions will still see remnants of that front later next week. Your Thanksgiving forecast is not much different than what we've seen as of late. Winds will be pretty high, average anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour, but gusts topping out at nearly 20 miles per hour, so any activities outdoors should be secured for not only high but directionally changing winds. We won't get too warm, topping out at 63 briefly between noon and 3, with pretty heavy overcast for the entirety of the day. We may see some sun around 3, but with those colder winds moving from that northern front, you'll need a light jacket for the day. Looking into next week, we'll steadily drop into the 50s for the highs. The lows are getting closer to freezing temperatures. Texas typically sees here and there. Not much sun either. Dense cloud coverage for most of the week and into the next weekend. Historic, record-setting, and deadly. Those words describe the weather in Northern California and the Pacific Northwest this week. Some areas are recovering. In others, forecasters say it's about to get worse. Amy Kiley has more.
An atmospheric river could bring record floods to California today. It follows deadly wind and blizzard conditions from a historic bomb cyclone off the Pacific Northwest coast yesterday.
First it was cool, but now it's kind of scary.
An atmospheric river is like a fire hose of moisture in the air. A bomb cyclone can work with it, causing days of torrential rain. Forecasters predict the worst flooding around Northern California. Parts of it could get a record 16 inches in 48 hours, with more rain in states farther north and feet of snowfall at higher elevations.
I'm getting sandbags to stop the water from going in the house.
How bad does it get?
It gets pretty bad.
The broader region is still recovering from this week's bomb cyclone. The National Weather Service in Medford, Oregon says it's tied for the most intense ever in that location. Officials say 2 Seattle area women died due to falling trees. This single mother says she's lucky to be alive after one hit her house.
And I just kind of laid there. And then I forgot my cats had left, and I just freaked out.
Some tree removal crews are overwhelmed.
Now the wind and the storm is continuing and coming back around, so it's adding to the mess.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Right after the break, we'll have Cameron in for the Sports Spotlight. Don't go anywhere.
I taught for 20 years, but I started forgetting my lectures. Eventually, he had to quit. My therapist recommended we go to the doctor.
The early Alzheimer's diagnosis allowed us to take control of the situation.
He's been such a positive force and so loving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
When I came back from the war, I was barely hanging on by a thread. I'm here today because of Tanya's relentless efforts in trying to get me healed. And says, Michael, I know you've got a plan to take your life today, but if you give me just 5 more minutes to love you.
5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, honey, 5 more minutes to love.
Michael has actually taught me what it looks like to accept help.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back to the news feed. Going right to the gridiron, last night we had the Browns defeating the Steelers despite a blizzard that started in the third quarter. The Jameis Winston-led Browns were able to pull out a victory thanks to a touchdown on the ground by their determined QB. Nick Chubb also found the end zone twice, helping to assist in the win. Moving forward to Sunday at noon, we have the NFC best Detroit Lions, who were red hot and looking to improve to 10-1. Anthony Richardson is back in the driver's seat and looks to steer the Indianapolis Colts past the big cats in the NFC North. Locally, things aren't looking up for the Cowboys as they fall to the Texans in devastating fashion, 34-10. Your Dallas Stars, though, are the lone bright spot as they start a 3-game road trip following a victory on Wednesday against the San Jose Sharks. They look to improve to 13-6 with a win tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. In NBA news, the Cleveland Cavaliers have taken the Eastern Conference by storm. With a record of 16-1, the trifecta of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley have put the Celtics, Heat, and Knicks on notice. In the West, we see the Golden State Warriors, led by Steph Curry, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in a gridlock for first place. Meanwhile, the Lakers look to push for the second Emirates Mid-Season Championship Cup, while currently sitting in third place. And that's your Sports Spotlight. Back to you, John.
All right, thank you, Cameron.
All right.
Plans to revamp a popular landmark in Houston, Texas were unveiled Wednesday. The $1 billion plan for the Houston Astrodome includes 4 state-of-the-art buildings under its roof and a retail village. Renderings show a boulevard that would cut through the dome and connect to other buildings in the NRG Park. It was last used in 2005 to house Hurricane Katrina evacuees. The Astrodome officially closed in 2009. Social media influencer, now professional boxer Jake Paul defeated former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson by unanimous decision. The highly anticipated boxing match between the 27-year-old and 58-year-old took place in AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, Friday night. The opening rounds of the fight were tame until Tyson came out aggressively in the third round. However, Paul controlled most of the fight against Tyson, who started to show signs of fatigue. Paul's victory brings him to 11-1 in his professional career, including 7 knockouts. The Paul and Tyson boxing match was live on Netflix. Thousands of viewers reported that the live stream crashed and caused delays while watching the historic fight. So far, Netflix has not responded to the backlash. A story that will make you smile. It's the trial of the big bad wolf. We'll explain next.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat
apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Owen, when you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
We didn't know what the future would hold, but we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
You could call it the trial of the year in Texas, and it played out in a federal courtroom filled with drama. Tuesday morning, students from Texas A&M University Corpus Christi played the roles of the Big Bad Wolf, the Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, and Goldilocks. In addition, local elementary students served as judges, lawyers, jurors, and other roles for the mock trial. The U.S. federal courthouse was packed with media and spectators as the surviving little piggy and other witnesses testified. This fairy tale trial was created to show students how the judicial process works, but with a unique, fun twist.
Well, we'll be acting in the thing about the, like the wolf trying to not go to jail, and then the pig trying to get the wolf to jail, and then the judge is basically on both teams.
And this year's free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, is now open to all students. But after last year's messy rollout of a new streamlined process, parents and students may be a little wary. Karen Kaifa is in Washington with a look at what parents and students should know.
Last year's rollout of a simplified free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, did not go according to plan.
The net effect was a frustration with the process, people abandoning the FAFSA altogether because they didn't think it was worth their time or they didn't think it would ever work.
And in some cases, glitches and delays impacted students' options as they waited for financial aid offers. Before last year, the FAFSA form traditionally opened to all students on October 1st. But the Department of Education made a phased release of the FAFSA for this year amid continued beta testing. Now the form is open to all, and students are advised to start sooner rather than later. Jill Dijon, senior policy analyst at the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators, says filing deadlines will vary among schools and scholarships.
Know what your deadlines are and make sure you're meeting them, but they will be different for every student depending on where they're applying to school and where they're from.
To get things going, students need an FSA ID, an account username and password for the FAFSA site, and applicants and their families should gather any tax, banking, and investment documents. Student aid experts hope the process will be more efficient and less frustrating this year.
What we're hoping to see this year is that full realization of what the FAFSA Simplification Act intended to do, which was to make this application shorter and easier to complete.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you for joining us on the news feed. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.